It was an ordinary evening, or so it seemed. The kind of evening when the world feels heavy, and everything around you feels the weight of the day. I had just come home from work, tired and mentally drained from hours of endless meetings, solving problems that seemed never-ending. The noise of the world outside had quieted down, and all that was left was the soft hum of the refrigerator and the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. I had just eaten a simple dinner, and now I was alone in my thoughts. Laying down in my bed, I couldn't help but feel the exhaustion in my bones. I was in my early 30s, and the years had already begun to weigh on me. I'd always tried to do my best at work, always tried to help others in whatever small way I could. But there was still something missing. I couldn't pinpoint it, but something deep within told me I was missing out on a greater meaning to life. Maybe it was because I had never truly found my passion, or maybe it was because, despite everything, I still felt unfulfilled. That night I said a simple prayer before I closed my eyes, as I had done countless times before. God, I'm begging you, please help me, I whispered, unsure of what exactly I was asking for, but I felt an overwhelming need for something greater than myself to intervene. Give me direction. Give me something to guide me through. And with that, I fell asleep. In my dream, I was not in my humble bedroom anymore. I found myself in a place I could not quite describe. It was both vast and intimate, filled with light but not blinding. It was peaceful, quiet, and eternal. As I looked around, I felt a presence beside me, familiar and comforting. And then I saw him, God, not in the form I had always imagined, but as a being of pure light, radiating calm and wisdom beyond anything I could comprehend. He didn't speak immediately. He simply stood next to me, as if he was waiting for me to say something, and then, in a voice that resonated deep within my soul, he spoke. I've been watching you, my child. I know your heart. You are a good man. Every day you help others in whatever small ways you can. You deserve more. So I'm here. I will give you everything you want. All you have to do is ask. What is it you want? For a moment I stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. I had so many desires and thoughts racing through my mind. Money, success, love, power, happiness. All of these things floated before me like tempting visions. But when it came down to it, I didn't know what I truly wanted. I had been asking myself that question for years, but never had an answer. God looked at me with patience in his eyes, waiting. He spoke again. Do you want to be rich? Without hesitation, I replied, no. God raised an eyebrow as though curious. Do you want to be a president, a powerful leader of men? I thought for a moment, but again I said, no. He smiled a little, as if he already knew what I would say. Do you want love, the kind of love that fills the heart and makes life complete? Once again I paused, but eventually I answered, no. God looked at me with a mixture of confusion and amusement. Then what do you want, my child? He asked, his voice full of warmth and curiosity. I stood there for a long time, thinking. The things I had always chased after, the material desires, the fleeting goals, they didn't seem as important anymore. What I truly wanted was something deeper, something that could give me clarity, something that could guide me through life. Not just for my own benefit, but for others as well. Finally I said, Lord, please give me wisdom. There was a long pause before God replied. He looked at me with a slight frown, as though the request was unexpected. Just wisdom? No riches? No power? No love? I nodded. with certainty I had never felt before. "Yes, Lord." "Just wisdom." God's expression softened, and he smiled warmly, as though he understood me more than I understood myself. "Wisdom, then. It shall be given to you." And with that I woke up. I sat up in my bed, feeling the cool morning air brush against my face. I blinked, unsure if what had happened was real. Was it just a dream? But there was something different. Something changed inside me. I felt it instantly. The way I looked at the world had shifted. I felt more aware, more connected, more focused. The fog that had clouded my mind for years had lifted, and suddenly I could see things clearly. I went through the motions of my daily routine, but with a new sense of purpose. When I faced problems at work, I found myself thinking in ways I hadn't before. Solutions appeared that I couldn't have come up with previously. When I talked to colleagues and friends, my words felt more thoughtful and impactful. Ideas flowed easily, and decisions felt sharper, more confident. It didn't take long before I realized that wisdom wasn't just an internal change. It was something that influenced everything I touched. I started seeing opportunities where I once saw obstacles. I began taking risks in my work that led me to start my own business. My wisdom had helped me navigate the complexities of entrepreneurship, and within a few years I had built something successful, something that had allowed me to accumulate wealth and freedom I had never imagined possible. As I grew more successful, I found myself with more time to pursue the things that had once seemed out of reach. Like love, I met a woman who shared my passions, who understood me in a way no one ever had. We got married, and together we built a life that was rich not just in wealth, but in love, purpose, and joy. My businesses continued to grow, and as my influence expanded, I found myself in a position where I could make an even greater impact. I became involved in politics and eventually found myself running for office. Years passed, and I woke up one night in a familiar place. The dreamscape from before. There, standing next to me, was God once again. "You have done well," he said with pride in his voice. "I see what you have accomplished with wisdom. You did not seek riches, power, or love for their own sake. You used wisdom to create a life of purpose, a life of meaning. You got everything you needed, and more." I stood there, overwhelmed by the journey that had brought me here. "Lord," I said, my voice full of gratitude, "I don't deserve all of this, but thank you. Thank you for giving me the wisdom to live this life." God smiled and nodded. "You are a smart man. You've proven that wisdom is the greatest gift. It has guided you through everything and will continue to do so." And with that, I woke up once again, the sun now shining through my window. But this time, there was no confusion. I knew what had happened. I had been given wisdom, and with it, I had found the life I had always dreamed of. Today, as I look at everything I've achieved, I realize that wisdom is the true key to success. It's not the material wealth, the power, or even the love that we often chase. It's the wisdom to understand what really matters. And if you believe in the power of wisdom and in the grace of God, subscribe to the journey that continues to unfold. Because when you seek wisdom, you are not just seeking answers. You are seeking a life worth living.